I spent significant time of 2024 revisiting Elden Ring and Remnant 2 and played their DLCs, Shadow of the Earth Tree and triple package of Remnant DLCs, The Awakened King, Forgotten Kingdom and The Dark Horizon. Now we're going to take a look at them, compare them a little bit because there is a surprising amount of similarities between them, and decide who has done it better. One of my favorite moments in gaming recently is the first time you exit the starting catacombs in Elden Ring. The door opens and the Limgrave just sprawls in front of you. The sight of the Stormveil Castle, the Earth Tree and the landscape, the Tree Sentinel roaming on the meadow. It is really hard to replicate that same feeling again. You have seen the lands between, and you are coming into the shadow expecting to be awestruck again. And the DLC does a pretty good job at that. If the lands between are sort of a waking state, something you experience every day, then the Shadowlands are a nightmare, lulling you in with a sweet promise of butt kicking. The familiarity is there, but it is twisted, darker, and even more dangerous. And that feeling of danger and difficulty is one of the reasons why you get pulled in the shadow. I was pretty strong in the base game and one-shotting most of the bosses. And that is not a brag, I'm actually pretty bad at the Souls game. But new enemy types, crazy bosses, unknown traps got me back into that I'm in danger mode pretty quickly. The Remnant 2 provides the similar feeling. You are not there to take walks and enjoy the sunshine, but to admire the craft of talented developers by exploring, fighting and immersing yourselves within these awesome worlds. Now let's look at some similarities, or better said qualities, that these two games possess. Out of all the amazing activities this two game provides, the bosses are probably the most memorable. The artistic design, the creativity, their looks, their movesets and the arenas where those fights are happening, the tension and the pressure they force on the player with their aggressive movesets or smart designs, never letting you breathe too much and pushing you to the limit, and the ultimate feel of accomplishment when they fall, and the awesome reward you get is what keeps you going forward and eventually coming back. The second quality would be the worlds and the vistas. You will find yourself just watching the scenery many times, admiring the ideas people have and the tactical prowess that make it a reality. These worlds really beg for photo mode, which neither of these two games have. Remnant has a slight advantage here due to the different worlds and the genres that it is comprised of. The sci-fi ship of Nerud, a fantasy world of Yeisha, and kinda Bloodbornean Lossum. All three are filled with amazing bosses, enemies, and non-combat encounters. Like a stealth segment in Nerud, where if enemy would spot you, the doors to the loot would close, forcing you to reset the state of dungeon. That was even enhanced by the co-op, because a friend could stay by the window above and have a good vision of the arena. Or a dungeon in Yeisha that has a big puzzle with multiple components and rewards, but has zero combat. It even houses a little secret if you come at a special time. That being said, Elden Ring generally has more stunning sights and places to see and explore, especially in the DLC, where there is almost no reused assets. Each dungeon is beautifully handcrafted to provide the exploration and combat puzzles filled with rewards. So, rewards and buildcraft. In both the base games there is a lot of interesting upgrades to find. There are compelling weapons to try out different ways to approach the challenges and playstyles. Elden Ring provides a wide range of weapons, spells, ashes of war, while Remnant focuses more on combinations of weapons with different amulets, rings and mods. Although the upgrade in Remnant DLC holds pretty much the same formula as the base game, even though there are some awesome weapons, upgrades in Shadow of the Earth Tree take it up a step and really introduce significant new types of weapons for you to try out, like weapons with stances for additional moves, perfume bottles for magical effects, and even hand-to-hand combat. If these DLCs have any weaknesses, I would say that in Shadow of the Erdtree the leveling system felt pretty weak, the Skadu tree fragments. It got the job done, but there was just something lacking in Department of Excitement. When I heard that the DLC will have a new separate leveling system, I had hoped for something more compelling, maybe even a glimpse into a new system that FromSoft would refine for some future game. Remnant DLCs suffer from the same thing as the base game does, too many support for melee builds which still feel secondary due to many enemies you cannot reach. While the idea of a melee build in Remnant game feels appealing, it is just not possible to run through the whole game with a melee build only. At least not for me. Something I hope they consider for their next installment. We already touched on the bosses, but I just want to talk a bit more about them. Anyone who fought Bale the Dread understands what Pig Fight is, but that is just one of the examples. Mesmer and Midra fights were especially tough, stress-inducing spectacles that I will be remembering for quite some time. While I prefer the boss design of Elden Ring in general, I really want to shout out praise to the boss design in Remnant 2 as well. The Alepsis Tora, the Stone Warden and One True King and many others are expertly designed and engaging to learn and to defeat. Next thing that I want to touch on is the storytelling, or to be more precise, the lore telling. Now Remnant 2 has sort of a main story and honestly it's just not good. But that really doesn't matter, because the real story is in these worlds that you visit. Both Elden Ring and Worlds of Remnant have similar approach to the way they lore tell. You came here too late, and most crazy and defining moments have already happened, and you are in the aftermath of these epic stories. An observer, or rather a historian, visiting these worlds and collecting information and doing research by looking, reading and interacting with the NPCs to really learn what has transpired here. And both games give you clues and leave enough room for speculation and player imagination to get to the bottom of things. Now, I'm not genius in completely understanding the nuances and the details of these worlds, but I do enjoy the speculation and being proven wrong by the Vatividias of the game lore community. Regardless of my own misunderstandings of Mikela's intention or why has Lydusa been betrayed, I never got bored of learning about these worlds. The last comparison that I have is that of approach to exploration and discovery. When you start exploring any game world, that moment when your mind switches and get excited is the moment when something unexpected happens. You ride into a corner of a map, not expecting much, and you find an entrance to a dungeon. Or you pass through a hallway of an old castle and notice a picture tilted on the wall. You destroy it and find a secret behind it. That is when you have the moment of realization and start looking at the environment completely differently. And those are the things that Elden Ring and Remnant 2 both excel at. The sense of intrigue, the fact that you need to check everything, try different approaches to your ideas, just to be sure that you have explored every corner. And sometimes it isn't even about the rewards and the upgrades. You just want to see how far has the imagination of the developers gone and what kind of surprises they have prepared for you. Now, after all that, I have to admit that it's kinda hard to decide who has done it better. Both of the games and their DLCs are immersive, deep and fun experiences. But I did promise a winner, so it goes to the Shadow of the Erdtree. If nothing else, just for my own personal excitement. There is just something immaculate in the design of From Software games. The atmosphere, the challenge and the little things they have worked on to master over the years in their subgenre just leads to the experience. And I don't want that to take away from the amazingness of Remnant 2. It is a great game and it would have been my game of the year 2023 if Baldur's Gate didn't come out the same year. Ultimately, both game rules and I hope you share some love and excitement for them as I do. Thank you for watching.